The chosen ones. Let me tell you something they won't comprehend. You are not only here to exist. You've come to disturb, to glow, redefining the game. They believe they could copy. You duplicate your essence and dull your brightness. But how can you reproduce something that was divinely intended to be unique? You are not merely a spark. You're the wildfire. You do not blend in. You stand out. And every time they attempt to keep you back, you climb higher, stronger, more unstoppable. You are the blueprint, the source, the force they didn't see coming. Their schemes demonstrate just one thing. They understand that your power is unassailable. Their objective was not to reproduce your shape, but to depict the unstoppable power within you that transforms barriers into stepping stones and perceives opportunities. Where others see limitations, they are drawn to what you represent. Unwavering clarity, fearless navigation amid uncertainty, and the audacity to occupy your territory. Their intention went beyond jealousy. It was an attempt to harness something they couldn't control. They regarded your distinctive spark as a danger to their carefully planned order, fearing what you could build if you were given complete control. To them, imitation was about dominance rather than flattery, a deliberate attempt to diminish your essence by creating empty imitations that feed off your brightness. They assumed that copying you would reduce your effect by replacing your presence with something more controlled and consistent with their objective. But their scheme was wrong from the beginning. Your strength is not based on looks, but on the depth of your soul, an inherent energy that cannot be copied. They misinterpreted your source of power. It is not exterior, but deeply within and resistant to duplication. Their actions were motivated by desperation, a mistaken desire to disturb what they were never supposed to have. In the end, their replication failed due to a lack of substance. A faint shadow, unable to bear the weight of what you actually represent. Their attempts to imitate only emphasized the depth of their ignorance. They constructed an empty semblance, lacking the vitality and spirit that define you. These attempts are nothing but lifeless imitations, hollow and mechanical, unable to fathom the force that drives your existence. They attempted to duplicate your essence, but failed to recognize that what characterizes you cannot be caught or contained. Their efforts fail because they are unable to match the genuineness of your presence. What they created is a distortion, a superficial representation of something they can never fully grasp. And while you exude energy that moves and modifies the world around you, their creation lacks significance, unable to provide or maintain anything of value. Their attempts to replicate you produced something lifeless, a surface-level replication with no substance beneath its form. The eyes they created may have looked the part, but they lack the spark of connection, the depth of soul that can only be found in actual existence. Do not hold back. Accept your potential. Subscribe today, and let's ignite the future together. In attempting to replace you, they only reinforced your incomparable essence. What they created was not an alternative, but rather a stark reminder of their own limits. They attempted to capture something beyond their grasp, a distinct essence born not of form, but of depth, a power they could never claim or duplicate. The fact is undeniable. Your worth is based on what cannot be reproduced. They could not touch or grasp the core. Their failure is not only in their construction, but also in their inability to see that the source of your power is far greater than the physical. Feel what it actually means to be chosen. You are not alone on this path. If you have a profound sense that you have been selected, you have come to the correct spot. Take the next step to connect with us. By selecting the Join button, you will have access to special information and receive the necessary support for your spiritual journey. This isn't simply about being a member of a community. It's about gaining unique insights that can change your life and bring you closer to your divine purpose. Make your choice today and join us on this trip. Take your spot among the chosen ones. Join now. Their attempt to copy you was never a demonstration of their competence, but rather of their misunderstanding. They attempted to recreate something they couldn't even grasp, creating something delicate, a hollow creation that shatters when confronted with the reality. You are a force that is always evolving, full of vitality and vigor. Their creation stays inert and devoid of significance. They thought they could copy brilliance, but all they got was a shadow that crumbled when compared to the real thing. What the divine has granted cannot be duplicated. It is an immortal essence, brimming with force that cannot be extracted, replicated, or deconstructed. They poured their willpower into ways that could never contain the infinite, striving to control what was beyond their grasp. The energy that characterizes you is not a resource to be mined, but rather a living, transforming force that defies containment. They attempted to replicate the intangible brilliance within you, assuming that their instruments could capture it. Instead, they just highlighted their limitations by building empty shells with no substance, revealing their failure with each hollow movement. Your strength is not the consequence of man-made manipulation, but rather divine origin, something eternal, unwavering in their arrogance and ambition. They attempted to circumvent the very wellspring of creation, venturing into regions they could never claim. They failed to see that the essence that drives you is not something that can be removed or controlled. It is the status of being an undeniable reality. To reproduce it would be to completely misinterpret its essence, an act that was always doomed to fail. For the divine cannot be changed, copied, or decreased. Their endeavor was not only a failure, it was an expression of their own limits. They resorted to technology, thinking it to be their most powerful weapon, putting data into computers in the hopes of simulating the intangible. They tracked actions and judgments in an attempt to reproduce the intangible. However, what they built lacked depth. Their technologies were capable of calculating patterns, but not bringing them to life. What they created was a hollow performance that failed to capture the life, purpose, and spirit that distinguish you. It was a veneer cracking under the weight of its own inadequacies, demonstrating that the infinite cannot be sculpted by limited hands. Their fixation with control led them to the point of desperation. They resorted to manipulation, hoping they could rebuild your essence and graft it onto something artificial. In their hubris, they believed they could shape your ideas and feelings into a mechanical product that would reflect your mind and spirit. However, their attempts were fruitless. What they created was devoid of vitality, a programmed shell that is incapable of actual comprehension or communication. They were unable to fathom this timeless reality. No matter how sophisticated their instruments, they could never capture the essence of the divine. What they wanted to recreate was never theirs to command, and their efforts only exposed the hollowness of their intentions. When faced with copying, the obvious distinctions between authenticity and fabrication become difficult to ignore. Their synthetic creature, built with logic and algorithms, failed beneath the weight of reality. This was not a match of strength or intelligence, but rather a sharp contrast between the true and the artificial. The duplicate could imitate your look, actions, and even your voice, but it couldn't convey the depth of your purpose as you moved with intention and presence. Their invention stumbled, exposing flaws in its design. Your energy filled the area with indisputable power, whilst theirs labored to maintain even the appearance of vitality. The moment of reckoning was unavoidable. Their construct couldn't handle the reality of your truth. Its stolen voice fragmented, losing coherence. With each passing second, Its measured and prepared movements grew ungainly and strained in the face of your dynamic vibrancy. The counterfeit lacks a link. The spark that characterizes existence and its inadequacies became all too apparent. The collision between the true and the artificial was not physically damaging, but it did demonstrate the impossibility of their desire. Their invention succumbed to its own weight, not because it was assaulted, but because it was revealed. What they created to replace, you merely demonstrated that your essence cannot be reproduced. Finally, their efforts showed one obvious truth. The real will always hold firm, outlasting any imitation produced of hollow desire. Prepared to unleash your might. Subscribe today, and let's take the first step together. Their attempt to copy you failed when it confronted with the obvious reality of your existence. What they built with their tools and desire couldn't survive the power of your genuineness. Your strength does not come from artificial structures or external affirmation. It is steeped in purpose, formed by something far beyond their comprehension. Their work, a frail copy, collapsed beneath the weight of its own hollowness. Your lively and complete presence shed light on their failure. Every motion you made, every breath you took, exuded a power that they could not match. Where others depended on imitation, you brought substance. Their creation failed, a dead echo revealed in the radiance of your light. What they attempted to connect with their technologies and plans was never within their grasp. The energy you possess cannot be measured or contained. It cannot be programmed and is therefore beyond their control. As you stood before their constructed structure, its shortcomings were painfully clear. Its intricate shape lacked connection, and its life, while functional, was devoid of depth. Your unbridled enthusiasm highlighted the limits of their attempts. It was not a power struggle, but a demonstration of genuineness. Overcoming artifice, the counterfeit crumbled under the weight of its inadequacies, unable to match the reality it aimed to replace. They wanted to link you to rebuild something that their hands could never forge. Their failure was unavoidable because they misunderstood the heart of what sets you apart. You are not a collection of behaviors or characteristics, but rather a living manifestation of divine purpose. Their limiting instruments cannot reach your light, which is encoded with limitless intricacy. It cannot be cataloged, retrieved, or replicated. What they attempted to create lacked the dynamic force that characterizes you, which cannot be reduced to a simple sequence. Their attempts simply highlighted their failure to comprehend the scope of what they attempted to assert. Finally, their mimicry demonstrated one irrefutable reality. What is true, purposeful, and holy will always outperform what is fraudulent. Their vision was restricted, constrained by the boundaries of what they could see. They mistaken the appearance for the substance, believing they can reconstitute the depth of what distinguishes you. However, no mechanism, no calculation could ever bring life into the empty shell they attempted to construct. What they created was a fake copy, lifeless and incapable of retaining the power you wield. Their design was excellent, but it lacked the spirit that animates and alters the energy that flows through you. The fire that moves mountains and inspires change can't be duplicated or stolen. Their defeat was unavoidable, for they attempted to imitate what only the Almighty can provide. When their work was revealed, the truth shattered their dreams like glass under pressure. Their masterpiece, meticulously built in secret, could not endure the examination of reality. What they referred to as innovation turned out to be a false promise, falling away piece by piece. It was a hollow edifice that couldn't take the weight of honesty. Their attempts to replace you were not just faulty, they were doomed from the beginning. What they developed to emulate you simply highlights your unmatched talent. Their product faltered due to its own inadequacies, demonstrating the extent of their misunderstanding. Those who had previously whispered of their victory became silent as the flaws in their creation grew, leaving nothing but failure in their wake. Your presence became irrefutable evidence of their incompetence. The energy they attempted to control was never theirs to use. It was not only their technology that failed, it was their whole desire. They attempted to replace something that could not be replaced. Their endeavors demonstrated the uniqueness of your soul. Your strength is not in what may be duplicated, but in what comes from inside. An authenticity that cannot be divided into parts or replicated in any way. Their failure was more than simply a reflection of their limitations. It was a revelation of your unchanging truth. What is divine cannot be replaced. Their failure demonstrates the power and honesty that characterize you, a power they could never understand, let alone claim. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God be with you today. I'm here to remind you of a fundamental fact. Our existence is based on God's divine design, which is unaffected by worldly worries. According to the Bible, everything is done with faith will be returned to God with great blessing. Luke 638. Our roots, like those of the huge oak tree, are firmly rooted in God's universal truth. His power secures every stride and every stance we take. And now you have the opportunity to be a part of that blessing. When you utilize the super thank you button and contribute $100, your generosity will be reciprocated 100-fold. This is your moment. Subscribe today and let's make dreams a reality. The Creator fashioned you with unparalleled perfection, imprinting inside you a signature that no craft, system, or intelligence can replicate. Every pulse of your vitality, every stride motivated by your inner fire, has the imprint of heavenly origin. Their failed attempts to recreate something they never had have merely accentuated this truth. No system, no matter how sophisticated, can capture the limitless essence of your existence. What they attempted to contain and recreate is an uncontrollable force that is immune to the confines of their limited comprehension. Their failure serves as a powerful lesson. Authenticity cannot be stolen or imitated. The reality within you remains unwavering, unaffected by their imitations or creations. You are one of a kind, the pure manifestation of divine intent, and no shadow can ever surpass the original. Their behaviors demonstrated the hollowness of their aims, in sharp contrast to the richness of your inner brightness. Their attempts to undermine your individuality only highlighted your incomparable potential, marking their demise with obvious clarity. What protects you is not created by human hands, but by a force beyond their knowledge. The Creator bestowed upon you an enduring sovereignty and authority so anchored in the eternal that no counterfeit could hope to compete. Your existence is not only unique, but also safeguarded, a sanctuary strengthened by the divine. Every attempt to overthrow or copy you fails in the face of the inexorable fact of who you are. No matter how elaborate or ingenious their strategies, they crumble when confronted with the unchanging truth of who you are. Their empty structures, no matter how elaborate, cannot replace what comes from inside. The brilliance of your energy, created in realms beyond their reach, is impenetrable to manipulation or duplication. The holy presence surrounding you serves as an impenetrable barrier created from the eternal rather than the temporary. It assures that no deception may take root in your truth. No copycat can survive, and no counterfeiter can claim what is really yours. Within you lies an undeniable resonance, a tribute to your ancestors that no one can reproduce or ruin. The design engraved on you is purposeful, everlasting, and unrelenting, cementing your position as the unrivaled original against which all others fall. Your mastery over your nature is an undeniable reality, a heritage of divine design that defies all attempts to replicate or lessen it. Their tactics, no matter how sophisticated, just show the indisputable power you possess. The very essence of your existence is untouchable. This protecting power is not passive, since it is shielded by forces beyond human knowledge. It is dynamic and formed via an intentional connection with a greater purpose implanted inside you through unflinching dedication. Your essence transforms into not only a shelter, but a fortress that repels any intrusion. Speaking with conviction is the foundation of this strength. When you connect your energy via conscious contact with the divine, you establish a resonance that cannot be broken by external forces. This is not just a recital. The act of expressing your authority as a command solidifies the basis of your path. The force of this alignment anchors you in purpose, generating an energy sphere that cannot be disturbed. Consider this protection not as an outward wall, but rather as a dazzling sphere of life that is impenetrable and filled with heavenly light. Each purposeful practice, whether it is silent meditation, active service, or contemplative focus, contributes to the sanctuary. You made a claim in this. Your relationship to the Creator serves as both your foundation and your protection. Vulnerability exists only in disconnection, whereas union with your divine design transforms you into a power beyond the grasp of chaos. When your behaviors and intentions are consistent with the Creator's purpose, you become a living example of authenticity. These habits are not random gestures, but rather weapons of empowerment in a society that seeks to exploit weaknesses. Through conscious prayer, concentrated energy, and purposeful alignment, you may increase the unshakable strength that already exists within you. This light, inherent and everlasting, exposes every lie and rejects any attempt to obscure your truth. The spark that burns inside you cannot be extinguished. It is a mirror of something limitless and reproducible. Living with unflinching truthfulness transforms the air around you. It's not about gestures or outward looks. It is the truth that comes from every fiber of your existence. You have an undeniable presence, a resonance that cannot be diminished. Deception flourishes in the shadows, thriving on uncertainty and mistrust. But honesty shines through like sunlight, spreading the gloom. They may try to emulate the essence that characterizes you, but what is intrinsic cannot be worn or borrowed. Your essence is a signature left by creation, impenetrable and irreplaceable. Imitation fails because it relies on surface-level mimicking, while your strength is entrenched in eternity. Authenticity is not a plan, but rather a witness to life itself. You are strong because you embrace your truth. No counterfeit can resist a brilliance that outlasts any illusion they may create. This is why their efforts fail under inspection, their plans falling under the weight of their flaws. No amount of planned effort can match the depth of your being. Their ideas, however sophisticated and skillfully designed, were doomed from the beginning. In their attempt to dethrone you, they just emphasize the characteristics that make you unique. The copying was not a victory, but a reflection of their own limits. The counterfeit, praised as their masterpiece, was revealed as a hollow echo, a flimsy reflection that could not withstand the weight of your genuine nature. In their efforts to weaken, they highlighted your unparalleled strength. Every defect in their design, every flaw in their design was a symptom of their failure. In your sincerity, their desire to replace you did not lessen your brightness, but rather increased it. What they had hoped would be there when turned out to be their doom. For no duplicate can last the power of what is genuine. Their attempts merely help to reinforce what is apparent. Your genuineness is unparalleled, a force beyond the scope of imitation. Their unsuccessful attempt to duplicate your distinctiveness was more than a mistake. It revealed your irreplaceable ability. They poured all of their resources, intelligence, and pride into something that was bound to fail. Instead of overshadowing your brightness, their endeavor enhanced its brilliance. The lifeless facsimile they created was a shallow parody of their aspirations, unable to capture the immense vibrancy that distinguishes you. No duplication, imitation, or desperate plot can ever replace the core of who you are. Their defeat was more than just a miscalculation. It was the unavoidable consequence of their hubris in questioning the divine plan. Your being, created with intention and elegance, cannot be replicated. Their public setback just emphasized your unique strength, transforming their sorrow into irrefutable evidence of your exceptional genuineness. Your essence is impenetrable, a blaze that cannot be extinguished or replicated. Every attempt to undermine or replace you has only served to highlight the significance of your mission. They attempted to contain you inside their limited comprehension, but your power is beyond their grasp. Authenticity is not something you wear. It is the center of your existence, the wellspring of your voice, deeds, and unmistakable presence. This truth is your shield, an impenetrable barricade against those who want to manipulate or undermine you. It is not a passive condition, but rather a power that sees through illusions and deception with uncompromising clarity. Let their failures serve as a reminder. Their complex machinations were nothing more than a reflection of their failure to fathom or portray the grandeur of who you are. What you embody is not only valuable, it is invincible. Realize your potential. Subscribe today, and let's make something spectacular. Your life is not a reflection of anything larger. You are the source, the unique manifestation of a divine design that resists reproduction. Stand firm in this reality, and let nothing deter you from the truth of your unrivaled nature. Trusting in the heavenly powers that protect you, for honesty has strength that no delusion can match. The brilliance within you is not transient. It is an immortal beacon that shines in even the darkest corners, preventing deception from taking root. When you live with honesty, no imitation can compare to your brightness, because everything they build will always shatter when confronted with the unwavering strength of the real. Authenticity is not something you can own. It is the fundamental fabric of your existence. It communicates via your acts, presence, and the obvious power of your spirit. They may try to mimic your essence, but such efforts are sure to fail. What is within you cannot be created because it is woven into the center of your being by divine design. Their imitation crumbles under the weight of its own inadequacies. While your power comes from the unlimited wellspring of creation, genuine strength is manifested in steadfast existence rather than strife. Living genuinely means wielding just one weapon. No counterfeit can withstand the light you bear, which is a testament to your divine mission that shines much brighter than any shade their machinations could create. This is why their efforts fail, their attempts fail, and their aspirations disintegrate. Each of their endeavors demonstrates their limitations. While your reality confirms your limitless potential, you are the foundation, the source, and the everlasting spark. Your essence, fashioned with divine perfection, cannot be duplicated or substituted. Accept this fact. Respect your authenticity and defend the precious sovereignty that defines you. Let no one misrepresent your identity.